Click play and call it work.
Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to this week's Sit and Talk. Today, you got Luka from MiniWarGaming to sit here and talk to you for an extended period of time. Usually it's an hour, but I might make it longer, right? Depending on how many questions I have, I could sit here for a very long period of time and talk, or simply answer questions. It's my favorite thing to do. It's actually one of my favorite things to do at the job. Now, the way this is going to work, if you haven't done this already, and if you're watching this on YouTube, well, you can't ask me any questions live, but you can always ask questions to the next person down below. But anyways, if you want to ask me a question live, do the command !ask, period, your sentence. But try and keep it shorter, more concise, because I can only see so many characters. In fact, I'm going to open that up now. And if you already have a question pending, you won't be able to put another one into the queue until I have already answered your question and passed it on. And we'll be interacting throughout this anyways, just so I'll be able to see your stuff here and over there. And then if it is too long, Cullen can always timestamp it, or I can timestamp it for him and he can go find it. Cullen's also here.
Oh, hi.
Able to speak to you all and that good stuff. I'm going to be going on about a 24-hour live stream shortly as well that we'll be doing in 13 days on the 20th of March. And I want to let you know that next week is Matthew, because Matthew always comes after me. If you're watching this on YouTube and the comments are disabled and you want to ask Matthew a question for next week for him to answer those, and then you could watch that video, go to MiniWarGaming.com, find this video and leave the comments there. And if you're already watching it on MiniWarGaming.com, then just leave your comments there, because that's where he'll find them. Just go @Matt, @TheBoss, whatever you want, and then he will acknowledge those and answer those for you. And if you're watching this live and you plan on watching it live next week, then by all means jump in there and talk to Matt there. I guess without further ado, I'll talk about the 24-hour stream we're doing in 13 days. This is, we have a foundation of the schedule of what we're doing. It's going to be starting at noon, I believe. Is that correct?
I believe so. I think it's going to be starting with the noon live stream of the Shrine of
Chaos. The standard Shrine of Chaos that Dave does on Wednesdays. That's going to run for, it's actually been running that one for a while. 5 hours?
Yeah, I think he's going till 5.
Yeah, so it's going to be 5-hour Shrine of Chaos with Dave. It's normally like 2 hours, 3 hours. But he's going to be running till 5. And right after that, Matthew wants to start doing some Wrathing Glory. So we normally stream that on Tuesdays. We're going to be streaming that on Wednesday that day to kind of just fill out that 24 hours. And we plan on doing a double session. We're going to be playing for 8 hours straight until about 1 in the morning. If you have the constitution to stick with us that whole way, please do. We're also going to be doing a lot of, we're going to be selling lifetime Vault memberships during this period of time as well. There will be more details on that come the day. So if you have any questions there, try and save them for the actual day of the live stream to get more information there. And then come 1 o'clock in the morning, it really sounds like it's going to be Kenny, Cullen, and myself. And now there are a couple people that were, maybe me too. That being Aaron. I think I almost got Chris, pending one thing. We have a selection of things we want to do. We want to try and keep it fresh and keep it going. We're thinking about live streaming some Age of Sigmar, maybe some 40K. Obviously, that's up to the viewers. Maybe some 30K Heresy. Who knows? Fantasy even. They're all an option. Live streaming a war game. Whatever the viewers want, that's probably what we're going to do. Majority vote, naturally. We also want to change up. We're thinking about playing some Magic the Gathering Commander, if you're familiar with that. That is a very popular game amongst Magic the Gathering players. Obviously, they're standard and modern and all that, but we're going to stick to Commander. My favorite Magic the Gathering format for sure. I know Cullen says he doesn't like Commander.
But I'll play. I don't mind playing it now and again.
But I think if he was playing with a proper group of people, it's proper fun. That's Kenny and mine favorite. That's our favorite format to play Commander. And then Aaron was interested in that as well. So if we get more people, that's more people playing Commander. That's all the better. If we only have 2 people playing Commander, then we'll probably not play that for as long, because Commander is meant to be, I'd say, at least 4-player plus kind of game. Or you can just do like 2-headed giant Commander. All that stuff's good. And board games. That's one that got Chris interested, and Rob as well. Chris suggests that we maybe play Talisman. Now, Talisman takes a long time to play, but you can always play, I think it's called Bloodbath mode or Blood and Glory mode, where you only have 1 life. So it's kind of quick and loose the way you play. So like board games are an option as well. Josh was like, ooh, Twilight Imperium, how about that? If you're familiar with all these board games, these are great. Now, Twilight Imperium being a longer game might be a little taxing, because I would already be awake at that point for 16, 17 hours, and I'll be awake for the full 24 hours. I'm pretty convinced I'll do it as long as we get to do things like that. Those are the things I'm curious about doing or interested in doing. So it's going to be something like that.
Right. I think it's going to be a lot of kind of playing it by ear and
Right.
just doing things that we find interesting and that'll keep us awake as well.
Yeah, I'm going to, like, obviously, caffeine. I'm probably going to take a little nap before the long one at night. And more or less, whatever you guys vote on, that's probably what we're going to do. We'll give you a couple options here and there what we feel like doing. That's going to be that. And then, obviously, come 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be going home. I think Cullen and Kenny will be going home as well. Well, Kenny's got no choice but to go home. I'm driving back to Hamilton. And then Dave will be kicking off the final stretch from 9 to noon doing...
I don't know exactly what he's got planned for that last little stretch there.
There was nothing written in stone for that last little 3-hour segment of the 24 hours. But that's the general structure of it all. If you're willing to stay up with us, it's essentially a promotion for the bunker being released, because the bunker's being released the month after that. And we're kind of doing this whole lead up thing where we're doing these fun things interacting with you, the viewers, the fans, the people that keep MiniWarGaming going. And speaking of that, if you're liking the live streaming stuff we're doing, we appreciate all the subs. Honestly, guys, we really appreciate that. The more subs we get, the more we can live stream. The live streaming is an interesting new branch for MiniWarGaming to go down, right? It kind of leads it leads to more of the traditional gaming of the hobby. Right now we're doing role-playing game. That's another part of the traditional gaming. You got wargaming, role-playing games, board games, card games, all that stuff. If you're interested in that, the subs we appreciate it. Twitch Prime is a good example. If you have Amazon Prime, they give you 1 free Twitch sub per month. The only pain with that is you have to renew it every month. They kind of just give it back to you, and you have to kind of support whoever you want. You can keep supporting the same person over and over again, but you just have to manually do that. But without further ado, why don't I get to the questions? I'm going to be asking questions for Vault members and those who are live. The Vault members, I have them on the page there. And again, if you're watching this live and you want to ask questions, they are answered. So please do leave questions if you can't jump on while we stream this live. We stream this from 2 p.m. to about 3 to 3:30 p.m. every Thursday. And that's the schedule for that. I'll start with the first question here.
Wait. Oh, we got a couple subs first.
Oh,
we got a sub from Mark of Chico. Mark of Chico,
thank you for the sub.
3 months in Twitch Prime, thank you so much. And then we got 200 bits from Malicious.
Welcome back, Malicious. Good to see you. And thank you for the bits, naturally, every time. The first question is from a familiar name. Hi, Catfish666. Loving it. You said what your favorite part of the job. What would be your least favorite part of the job? Ooh, interesting question. I've never been asked that question before, actually. Okay. What is my least favorite part of the job? Oh, no. I don't want to lift the veil.
Do it. Let them know your inner secrets, Luka.
Oh, worst part of the job? Honestly, it's not even that bad, and I usually thrive if I get myself hyped up for something. Like, here's an example. Was it yesterday or was it today? I had planned on... No, it was yesterday. Anyway, I got to play Age of Sigmar in the end, so it was fine. But Josh and I had some plans on prepping for some Titanicus. Maybe a little spoiler. I think we have some ambitions of doing a Titanicus campaign with some guests coming in next week.
Ooh.
And that's what Josh wants to do. And if not a campaign, if we can't make that work, then at least a lot of battle reports of Adeptus Titanicus, one of Games Workshop's specialty games revolving around big robots killing other big robots in the Horus Heresy. If you're curious, make sure you check that out in the future. But yeah, we were going to do some prep yesterday, and I had to cover someone, so I ended up doing Age of Sigmar instead. But that's okay, because I'm a huge fan of Age of Sigmar right now. And honestly, I guess being hyped up for something and then something unfortunate happening and you having to do something else instead. That's not a bad thing at all. And that happens in every job. But the first thing that comes to my mind, the most recent thing that happened, I'd say that. What would you say? Least favorite part of the job?
Yeah, I think it's when you're expecting one thing and then
getting something goes wrong, you have to do something else.
I think it's just the nature of being in a small company. And
right.
When there's only 10 or 11 of us, when one person's not available, it is definitely felt.
Yeah, I'd say especially more for Cullen. He doesn't get to play nearly as much as everyone else does. So if he's told he can play something, if he's planned to play something and something awful happens, that sucks. If you can't play a game of Age of Sigmar or something.
And that's the thing, right?
Right, that's the thing. That's off the top of my head, probably the worst thing about the job.
Yeah, when you're planning on playing and then you come in and things have gone awry.
Like if I'm playing Age of Sigmar tomorrow, I get myself hyped up for a list. Like, I've been really wanting to try this out. Like example today, I really want to play out the Disciples of Zinch. Spoiler, Well, other than the fact I'm playing Disciples of Zinj, that's in the Vault. That'll be coming out in the next week or two. And you know what? It all went to plan. I made the list last night. I read the rules. I read all the FAQs. I've been trying to toy around with all the armies in Age of Sigmar. And you know what? The game fired and all as well. So that's a good day.
Right?
If I could think of something else worse later on in the sit and talk, I'll let you know. The next question we got by Dawn Cernet. Opinions on the new Primaris Marines coming out of Shadow Spear, Shadow War? The new box set of Chaos Space Marines versus Primaris Marines. I've always been... The Inceptor model, the concept of the Inceptor is a little goofy, but I'm a huge fan of it. I don't know why. There's something about it I like. It's something aesthetically pleasing about it. The new models obviously have autocannons, as opposed to they're heavy. They're assault pistols.
Such a funny looking model.
Right? It's so weird. It's out there. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of that. I think it's funny. I've seen a few conversions that look really good as well. More akin to Tau when their feet are on the ground and they have the jetpacks on the back to show them that they can jump. That's a cool conversion. Otherwise, very high detail models. Obviously, the new Primaris stuff looks amazing. Am I a huge fan of Primaris in general? I haven't been sold on the narrative of it yet, the lore of it. I like the standard, like, it's kind of hard to like imagine a space wolf, any wolf lord accepting a Primaris into their ranks. Obviously they can do that, but it's kind of like you have to be a blood claw first. You can't just be like, oh, here's a Primaris intercessor. You just welcome in. Like if they made them unique for Space Wolves, like here's a Primaris Wolfclaw, Blood Claw. Here's a Primaris Grey Slayer or Grey Hunter. I'm getting the 30k stuff confused. I apologize, but stuff like that. I'm not sold on the Primaris yet, but aesthetically, beautiful models. Obviously, they're modern. Games Workshop's been putting a lot of work into them, and they look amazing. As for the rules, they're new. They're cool. They're fun. It's not your standard Space Marine stuff. It's new psychic powers, all that stuff. It's all good. New stuff is good, 100%.
Yeah, it's always nice to see them kind of flesh out the line too.
Right.
Adding more options to your intercessor lines and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I guess Primaris were really rough when they first came out because you literally had Intercessor, Hellblaster, Inceptor, and Redemptor Dreadnought, and characters as well.
And then Reavers came out not long after, but still, like that's not even.
And then they finally released the Aggressors. Now they're starting to release this new line of stuff as well. So they're getting there. Once the Primaris line is fully fleshed out, well, we'll see. Mr. Pancakes for the win. Next question. Favorite character from the old world? Vlad von Karstein. Next question.
Yeah?
That's an easy. I love Vlad von Karstein. He's got lineage going all the way back.
Yeah, that's true.
As far as I recall, I think he goes all the way back to the first conception of the vampires. I could be wrong because it was Nagash. I think he was. It's been a while since I read it. I think Nagash. He formulated some sort of concoction, thinking that it would give immortality. This will keep you alive forever, and he tested it on some people. I think he tested it on Neferata and a couple other people, and it gave them vampirism, which was ironically immortality, but a perversion of it. Mm-hmm. And I think Vlad goes all the way back there. I think he was a husband to one of the original vampires, something like that, and he kind of just shows up in Sylvania one day. I love Vlad. He's awesome. J Plasma, favorite new 40k model? I think that's an easy answer. Either Obliterators or Abaddon the Despoiler. Boom. Awesome models. So I just talked about the Primaris stuff. I am super, super in love with all of the new Chaos stuff in that box.
It's so good.
It is so good. Those new Obliterators look amazing. They look like giant chads. They're just...
I can't wait to see them in person.
Right. I want to see how big they actually are.
Exactly.
Yes.
See them on the table. Just want to see that footprint.
And the new Abaddon, finally, he looks like he's going to be kind of big. Pretty big, bloated by chaos, obviously, is the reason behind that. I think he's about, I would assume, slightly shorter than Gilliman. Something like that. But he looks big. He looks pretty big. Rowan6142 is the next question. How are you finding the Wrath and Glory campaign? Are the rules difficult? I don't find the rules difficult. I find it to be once you get the rules down and you don't have to check the books at all, it's very smooth, easy transitions, everything makes sense. I'm attacking, what do I need to hit? Sure. It's like any other game system out there. Once you learn the rules, and these rules are easy to pick up. There's older rules like 3.5 Advanced D&D. I go back to those because I'm familiar with those, where you're always kind of double checking the rules, especially when those older games had a lot of source books as well, kind of really expanding on the game. Now, naturally, this game could have a lot of source books that really expand upon it as well, and that's where the game gets a little more complicated. For now, in its core version, I think it's fine. though I am of the train of thought that any first edition of any game is rough, naturally.
Yeah,
Wait,
definitely.
Yeah, wait till they come out with a second edition, then you'll see, like, Wrath and Glory is fine now, it's fun, we're enjoying it. What do we want to, like, would I want to see a second edition of it? Naturally. Age of Sigmar when it first came out, hated it, couldn't stand it. Second edition Age of Sigmar, by far my favorite, like, active Games Workshop game right now.
I think that one's an extreme example, but...
Yes. Like exact extremes. I think Wrath and Glory is a fine system now. Give it a second edition. I think the book needs, like, a reorganization a little bit here and there, because
that seems to be one of the biggest issues.
Right. I think across the board, I hear a lot of people saying that I would like the rulebook to make more sense as it's constructed.
Just the layout of where rules are and where to find things, and the fact that things don't start on the top of pages is very And
there's incorrect page reference numbers here and there. One of my favorite things is it's going on about close combat, or not, it's just going on about combat in general, and then you're reading a paragraph and it ends, and it's just a narrative lore on the Adeptus Astartes. It fills out like the next 2 pages, then you have to flip back to like close combat. It was very random. And then of course there's misprints in there. There's a lot of errata and FAQ already, and the PDF I believe is correct on all that stuff.
Yeah, I believe they update that one actually.
Yeah. So I think I'd like to see a reprint of it in the future, a little bit more cleaned up. But other than that, it's a good system. I got a lot of questions flowing in here. Jeez. I'm gonna do a Vault question. I'll do my first Vault question. Try and split them all up. Mix them up. I got one here by, is this a long one? Yeah, no, it's fine. At Luka by Arzarnel. Alternate MiniWarGaming 30k question. If instead of the Primarchs, we all know the Emperor somehow made the MiniWarGaming crew into Primarchs, some genetic mix-up with cloning and stuff, what would be your Legion, what would my Legion be called? What tactics and fluffs would it have? And what special units would you choose to field?
Okay, so I think Steve got this question last week, too.
Yep, him and Vito got this, or no, it was just him. I think you're kind of asking this across the board to everyone. If I was to make up my own Legion, what would I call it? What would my special units be? And what would be the general form of warfare they enact? Ooh. Ooh.
It's a big question.
And who among you would start the heresy and who would follow them into darkness? Who would start the heresy? I guess the easiest way to, like, between the bosses, I guess, between Matt and Dave, if they were to start if we had to split there. Or if there's like a split between like Josh and like the bosses, and Josh was like, no, I'm gonna make my own MiniWarGaming, but better. And like we had to choose to stick with the bosses or follow Josh. Maybe that's like, you know what? I think that one makes a little more sense to me immediately.
Josh is Erebus.
Yeah, someone's Erebus whispering into Josh's ear, and he's Horus, and he starts the whole thing.
True.
Who would I follow? I can't answer that. I have no idea. That's tough.
Too many things to take into consideration.
Right, way too many things. But okay, I can at least maybe name my Legion for you. They all have pretty basic names when you really think about them, right? Like Emperor's Children, Iron Hands, Iron Fists.
You make them
Imperial Fists.
Luka's Fists.
Luka's Fists. I'd make them. Oh, I love the Sons of Luka. That's amazing.
Sons of Luka.
Sons of Luka. The Indentured Few. the Indomitable Many.
We got the Space Cats.
Space Cats, sure. Maybe take a Latin take on that. What would that be in Latin? The space, like something. Yeah, figure that out for me. What's that in Latin? Maybe that's my name.
All right. What is cat in Latin?
What is space in Latin?
Latin to English.
I don't know.
Cat.
I'm curious.
Oh.
Is it cat?
It's apparently cat.
That's dumb.
But someone's saying.
What's space in Latin?
Astros felinus.
Astros felinus.
Is there a Latin translation for taco? Nope, that's also just taco.
I'm assuming, yeah, taco didn't exist. I would assume taco didn't exist back then. There's no Latin word for taco. Oh, geez. What would my play? Well, I'm awful at this question. This is a bad one. This is tough. A tactic? Okay, for sure, I can tell you my special units would be Terminators. I think Terminators are so cool, and mine would be narratively the best. I would have the best Terminators.
But not on the board, just narratively.
Yeah, narratively. Realistically, in-game Terminators are a little lackluster. Unless you're playing 2nd edition, then Terminators are pretty great. I'm playing a game of 2nd edition 40K with Chris tomorrow, actually. Not recording it. And that was actually something I wanted to talk about, because I'm thinking about... I'll get back to the question in literally a couple of seconds. I'm thinking about... Would you guys appreciate retro game coverage? I'm talking Battlefleet Gothic. I'm talking Warhammer 40K 2nd edition. Fantasy throughout the years, like maybe 6th edition fantasy. Or maybe just like jumping back to like Warhammer 40K, like 5th, like random, like not like all the editions. Like I wouldn't play 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th 40K. I'd pick one of those because those are all pretty much the same edition. I'm talking about like when you look at 40K, it's actually in my mind it's 3 editions, not including Rogue Trader. You got 2nd edition 40K, and then you got a big change when you went to 3rd edition because 3rd to 7th are very similar. Just like it just added more and more rules and kind of made things made more sense. And then you have 8th edition, which is the newest take on it. Those are like the 3 main versions of 40K. So if I had to choose, I'd play 2nd, 7th, and 8th edition. Fantasy, I loved 6th edition fantasy, but I would change some of the rules. And then I would also play 8th edition fantasy because those are also vastly different. 7th and 8th edition fantasy are pretty much the same. But I would change the rules in 8th edition fantasy as well because some of them are just not great. And Battlefleet Gothic, all that stuff. Let me know how you feel about that. I don't know, emails, Luka at MiniWarGaming.com. I've been thinking about covering that here and there. Maybe for my own channel, for Steve or something like that, because MiniWarGaming would have to, there's a whole thing there, but.
Well, right now, I mean, I will say from chat, everyone seems cool with it.
Yeah.
We got Malicious giving us 100 more bits saying,
Thank you,
yes,
Malicious.
Termies.
Yes, Termies.
Big fan of your Terminators.
Yeah.
And Dr. Vulcan with 300 bits, bribed to let fantasy die.
Oh, is that
No!
No! 300 bits for fantasy to die? That's $3. Thank you, by the way. Anyways, that's what I've been thinking. Back to the question. I would have Terminators as my Legion special unit. I wouldn't know what I would call them. I don't know, Lion Claws? I like Lion Claws. That's kind of cool. The name is not important. I could be the Iron Fathers. That's what actually the Sons of Luka. I can't think of a good name, but I'd have Terminators, and I would be very close combat based. I would be something akin to something like Space Wolves, but not the Wolf Tactics. I love the Wolf Tactics, by the way. You charge in, then something else charges in. It's hit and run, charging. That's amazing. It'd be something close combat, something like the World Eaters, something like Space Wolves. Not Reckless Abaddon like the World Eaters, but maybe the more tactical combat. So something very much like the Space Wolves or Blood Angels.
Twigbeard suggested you call yourself the Iron Daddies.
The Iron Daddies, eh? Sure, the Iron Daddies it is. My Legion would be named the Iron Daddies, and I would have Terminators called the Big Papas. And I'd be all close combat oriented. There you go.
And then Malicious says that you each have the big time crime boys.
The big crime time boys. Oh, they could be the bully hunters.
Who's bullying in here?
My Terminators could be called the bully hunters. There we go. And I'd stop all bullying across the galaxy through close combat and brutal death.
That's amazing.
I'd be the bullies. Next question, please.
We're bullies who only bully bullies.
We're bullies who only bully bullies. Honestly, I feel like that's what I did in high school, and it was awful.
Just like, wow, that got real quick.
You realize that, like, you know what? I was so great. I like to pick on the bullies, and I realized like I was just picking on people that I deemed were bullies. Next question is by Davanos999. What is your favorite Space Marine chapter, and why is it Raven Guard? Well, I've never played Raven Guard. I played against Raven Guard here and there. My favorite chapter? Space Wolf. Favorite Legion? Space Wolf or Word Bearer. Both are cool. Both have very impressive books in the Black Library. Oh, why would it be Raven Guard? I can say why. You know what? The Raven Guard having the solid black eyes, I think, is pretty cool. Their tactics are very hit and run. A lot of finesse in their tactics, and I can appreciate that. If I had to compare any Legion to the Eldar, I'd say Raven Guard are probably pretty close to the Eldar. Through Cloak and Dagger, very smoke and shadowy, very very high finesse, high agility kind of playstyle when it comes to a chapter. So I'd say the Raven Guard are probably the closest to the Eldar, but I'm not a huge fan of Eldar. But I think they are cool for that fact. But they're not my favorite. Next question is by Zergalurgadurg. Hey Luka! I like the plaid shirt, thank you. What is your least favorite army to play against in Age of Sigmar, 40k, and Fantasy? Okay, I'll start in that order. My least favorite army to play against in Age of Sigmar. I think, honestly, Legions of Negath. Okay, with a competent player, I don't think I'm good enough to beat a competent Legions of Nagash player or a Sylvaneth player. There's just a lot of things they can both do that really bully you off the table or bully you. They're so good at grabbing objectives and just bullying you off them and making it very difficult to get off those objectives. Sylvaneth in the form of the trees and Dryad spam, and having the Tree Lords, the Spirit of Durthus or Tree Lords in your lines, hard to remove unless you have a lot of mortal wounds. And Legions of Nagash through just multiple hordes of skeletons that in general are pretty hard to take off the table. And once you do, they usually come back and charge back into combat. So that kind of stuff's obnoxious and hard to deal with. I think those are my least favorite things to play against, but they're not even that bad. Like, I don't mind the challenge, but it's an uphill battle usually. Not to mention, I usually like to play Death, and so if someone else comes in with Death, then I'm forced out of Death. Like, not really forced out of Death, but I don't like to play the same Grand Alliance against the same Grand Alliance normally. Unless there's exceptions. The next one would be 40k. What do I not like playing against in 40k? There are... Oh, gee.
Knights.
Thank you. Yes, it's Knights. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Imperial Knights this edition. I feel like they went a little above and beyond with a couple of things. I think Rotate Ion Shield should be declared at the start of the phase, like it was before in previous editions. I think I liked the one... There was that little moment there where someone figured out how to break Rotate Ion Shields or like get around it, and then Games Workshop immediately fixed it. I'm like, boo. Boo. It was because of the order of operations, how it worked. It'd be like you'd pick your weapons and then you'd pick your units to fire at. It was a weird order of operations. Essentially, you were able to pick all of the knights on the opponent's side of the table, and then they were forced to rotate ion shields before you rolled any attacks. Now it is you have to actually pick your opponent. You have to pick your weapons at the same time you pick what you're shooting at. And it was essentially because you could split fire before, so you pick, I'm going to fire with this unit, and they're going to fire at these two things. I just haven't picked my weapons yet, but you have to rotate your ion shields. Now, I think it was something like that. And then they fixed it and just gave knights more buffs. I think, like, if it might sound a little rude, but I find when playing as, like, this is through personal experience as well. When playing as knights, you don't have to think at all when you're playing. It's very mindless, now, obviously when you're playing mono knights, you have to think of objectives, so there's that. But when you're throwing in like one or two knights into an army like the Astra Militarum or the Adeptus Mechanicus, where you have a lot of obsec for very cheap, then that's where it kind of gets that mindless playstyle where the knights go up, kill the immediate threats right away, block certain paths to your back lines and objectives, and just kind of like bully your opponent back into their deployment zone, and they can't really do anything about it. That's where I'm kind of like, that's where I'm not a huge fan of knights. I think they don't. Yeah. And fantasy, my least favorite thing to play against was, honestly, I had a really good time with fantasy, and I never really hated playing anything. Though, to be fair, I know Skaven were a pretty big issue for a lot of people, but my only experience with Skaven was Cullen. So it was, I'd almost just watch him outplay himself. Like, I would, anytime Cullen was playing Skaven, I'd make sure I'd stuck around to watch it just, until his inevitable downfall. I watched you play that game against Steve a while ago where you did, is it the Dreaded 13th? Is that the big spell?
Yep.
So you literally had the game-winning spell. You Dreaded 13th him, you almost wiped out his big Death Star unit with the Slan and the Temple Guard, and then all you had to do was the Dreaded 13th one more time. But you're like, hold on, before I'm going to do that, I'm going to 2-dice this Warp Lightning before I lose all my dice to the miscast on the Dreaded 13th. Like, oh, that makes sense. Double 6 miscast, lose all your dice.
Yeah.
No Dreaded 13th, and then I think, did you lose that game?
No, I did win.
Okay, but you had to really work for it.
Oh yeah.
So stuff like that. I loved fighting the Skaven for the reasons like that. Elves, I found I myself play pretty strong armies as well, so against high elves, it wasn't that bad. Now, I never had to fight the Alarial Phoenix Guard Death Star, which is like impossible to take off the table. And I played against ogres a lot too, which are pretty oppressive. But I would beat them every now and then, so I didn't mind it.
Ogres are hard,
Oh, do you remember that their one artifact was called the gem that would automatically make everything miscast nearby them?
Hellheart?
Hellheart, yes. So I would refuse to play vampire counts against the Hellheart because that was almost an auto loss. Because the vampire counts absolutely needed magic. So the second he'd be in range, he would instantly ignore one of my magic phases with the Hellheart. So that was a little obnoxious. But we got to the point where we just weren't playing with the Hellheart anymore, so it was fine.
Yeah, I had big problems with that one playing Skaven.
Yeah.
Having your Grey Seer, you need your general.
Right.
I need the
And
leadership bubble.
And then you can't do anything against it because you either choose to move your general away, which is counterproductive, because he's eventually going to get the Hellheart in range anyways. It was a Hellheart. That was super annoying. So I guess if I had to say, it'd be Ogres with the Hellheart if I'm playing vampire counts, or any army that relies on magic. That was way too oppressive. That had to go. But elves I found were fine. I played elves myself. I played dark elves, which were probably considered one of the strongest armies in 8th edition fantasy.
Oh, for sure.
So I had no complaints there. The next one is by Malicious.
But wait, before that, Dr. Vulcan threw in 200 more bits.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Vulcan.
And said that his only issue with fantasy is that he feels like it splits the community too much, that people are enjoying AOS in numbers, fantasy never seen, and then the old fantasy versus AOS tends to make community more toxic.
Yeah.
Which I totally understand that.
I agree.
It sucks to have that kind of emotions be built into a game like that.
Yeah.
It's just tough when they kind of kill off a whole game and immediately replace it.
Yeah.
And kind of force people's hands into changing or getting rid of everything.
Do I think Games Workshop made the right call? Absolutely, 100%. And like I said earlier, Age of Sigmar is my favorite. Like out of 40K and Age of Sigmar right now, I am a huge fan of Age of Sigmar right now. I think it's got a very refined rule set. There's nothing exhausting to play against really, and like when it comes to the tournament stuff, it's a little rough there because you see a lot of the same stuff. You see like a lot of Nagash, stuff like that. But I mean, when you're playing your average pickup games, you don't see that a lot. I find for whatever reason in 40K, a lot of people, when it comes to a normal game, everyone wants to really play up, and there's a lot of things in the rules that, or just the way the game works mechanically. If you're not playing up, you're not going to really have a chance against your opponent if they're playing up. Now, obviously, there could be extremes when it comes to dice. There's always that, but I find 40K to be a little more exhausting to play than Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is a very laid back. If you're playing smart, you can win, right? You can always, when it comes to the Eternal War missions and the Age of Sigmar battle plans, I find them to be those are my favorite. Those are very good to play. If you're playing Eternal War with an opponent who has a very up list and you don't, but they're not playing up to a perfect standard, then you can beat them easily there. But in every other situation, it's kind of hard. But anyways, back to like Age of Sigmar is in a perfect area right now. I'm loving Age of Sigmar. It can only get better, and I just miss Fantasy. Fantasy was my favorite game. We usually had a lot of house rules towards the end, naturally, which I found made the game better. But if I had to choose between the two of them, if I had to choose one of those games, I guess if Fantasy was being updated, that'd be a tough one. If Fantasy was currently being updated still, I don't know. I think I'd actually honestly maybe lean towards Age of Sigmar. If I had to play one of those games for the rest of my life with them being updated, I'd maybe say Age of Sigmar because they have, with that rule set, there's more flexibility.
Yes.
But I liked the grindy nature of Fantasy. But anyways, next, I said Malicious here had a question, but there's actually nothing there. But I just cleared it in case you want to ask another question later.
But before that, we also did get a sub from Hot Rod 192.
Thank you for the support, Hot Rod 192.
And well as Dr. Vulcan gifted Eagle Queen Alexis a tier 1 sub.
Oh, Eagle Queen, hey, what up? I met you at Adepticon, I remember that. Dr. Vulcan, I'm sorry. If we've met, I don't know by the tag. But if we met, hey again, I could talk Fantasy and Age of Sigmar forever. And you know what the best part was? I'm not even like a super Fantasy veteran. It's not like I've been playing since like 5th edition or something like that. Right. I literally started playing Fantasy after Age of Sigmar was released. Because I always wanted to get into one of Games Workshop Fantasy games, but Fantasy was too expensive and too intimidating to get into because the rule book was the thing with 40.
Huge.
Yeah, the thing with 40K, they separated their rule book, their lore book, and all of that. So the rule book looked reasonable, and you could even have the little tiny, the ringed little foldy rule book for 40K in 7th edition. Fantasy's rulebook was like that thick, and I didn't know over half that was lore, so I never really wanted to get into it. And then Age of Sigmar came out, 4-page rulebook, lower model count, cheaper to get into. I'm sold. That was it. I'm like, here we go. I trust Games Workshop. I'm sold. I was a little sad.
I mean, I don't know how really much the cheaper to get into is still
not currently. No, definitely not currently. Age of Sigmar is probably just as expensive as Fantasy was, if not more so, because there's some models that are just like Fire Slayers. Like you want hordes of Fire Slayers, but they're like $7 a model, but you need like a minimum of like 2 or 3 squads of 40 guys. So, and there's other things. Now there's things like Blood Knights that are still $120 for 5.
It's still crazy.
Which are still super expensive, but those are technically Age of Sigmar now anyway. So now Age of Sigmar kind of takes over that expensive loan from Fantasy.
Yep. It is weird, especially because you need some of like the older models that still haven't even been redone in plastics yet or whatever.
And they still have up-to-date rules and everything. They're constantly being updated. So those are things they plan on keeping. I'd love to see Soul Blight in Age of Sigmar. We'll get there. We'll get there. But the one thing I wanted to say about Age of Sigmar was when I bought that army to get into Age of Sigmar initially, it was all on square bases, and it was a vampire count army that someone just... The announcement that Fantasy was being gutted, no more new additions, so many people liquidated their armies. And this guy, this was the kind of guy who had owned all of the 15 armies, and they were all pretty large, because this is someone who's been collecting for like 20, 25 years. He's like, you know what, they're not going to update the game anymore. I have my favorite armies. I never really liked the vampire count, so here you go. You have this for a very reasonable price. And I did. I came by to play Age of Sigmar at MiniWarGaming because I had come to play 40K a little bit, and I played a little bit of Age of Sigmar. Steve seen I had these guys on square bases, and they were starving for some Fantasy. He's like, do you play Fantasy? No, I've never actually played Fantasy. I got into Age of Sigmar. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, this isn't the first time I heard this. And I live nearby. He's like, well, what if I taught you how to play Fantasy? And oh, man, was I in love. I immediately jumped on that, and it was super fun. No regrets there. Now back to the questions. This is by Decent. I assume D's sent. 2 questions. Oop. This one might be a little... the timestamp too.
You got a timestamp, or did you get rid of it?
I already got rid of it. Okay, here we go.
It should be at the bottom, like in that weird bar down there. Do you see like text in a bar at the bottom?
I see the text in the bar, but it's even too long for that.
Okay.
2 questions. Last week, I asked Steve to do a Path of Glory campaign, and he was going to ask Matthew, so what was the answer? I don't know that one. And the second question is Vanguard or Phobos armor. So the Gravis armor, future units. If you want Decent, or put your question in again, the second question, the Vanguard and Phobos armor, retype that one, and I can just jump down and answer that when it pops back up.
You don't even have to use exclamation mark ask if you don't want to. I will read it.
And then, or Colin can just read it as well. So I got one here by the Rogue Spartan. I assume you wanted to ask a question, but it just says so I'm going to clear that so you can actually ask your question. The next one is, I'll try and go through these a little bit quicker because I'm getting a lot of backlogs here. VJ Morph. Luka and Cullen, do you think MiniWarGaming would be interested in doing monthly live streams discussing specific factions? Oop. This one's 1411,
That
actually.
would be interesting. I mean, Matthew just did, I can't remember, was that last week?
Like a monthly Skaven chat? Well, interested in doing monthly live
last
streams?
week or the 2 weeks ago that he did the reviews with Constantine?
Right.
So that was super interesting, and I think that's a kind of cool outlet to use the streaming for, and especially when it's making videos like that where it's very much sitting down in front of the camera and talking, where you could do that in a room by yourself, but why not do it on a live stream with people chatting and the ability to get a little bit of feedback kind of stuff. So
that's essentially the question, or just would we want to do a monthly live stream focusing on one aspect of, like one new aspect of the hobby or anything that hasn't been really touched on before? I'd do that.
I would be down.
Yeah, like I said, I love talking to the camera, and if there's people like throwing, like if we're talking tactics of Night Haunt or like Legions of Nagash, and I say I got my 2 cents, and someone jumps back with, well, I think this, then we could start a dialogue. Is that what you mean? Like, I would love to do that. That would be amazing. Plus, I can get a lot more insight, because by no means am I a massive tournament winner. I'm still trying to figure out, like, I have a good grasp of how to play Age of Sigmar, and I often win my games, but I mean, these are just casual games with people that come by. I'm not playing like super top tier lists at all. So when it comes to tournament stuff, I don't know.
There's a lot that we don't know, and I know that I definitely don't look at any sort of tournament results or anything like that. But
my experience is just through playing the game a lot. I assume when it comes to tournament play, there's people out there that play way more than I do. I play probably 2 to 3 Age of Sigmar games a week. 3's pushing it. Like at least 1, sometimes 2 to 3. I've done 4 before, but that's
like an odd week.
Right. We try and keep it all, like, keep it fresh, keep it fun. That way, like, if I was to play 40K for 5, I couldn't do this job. If I was doing like 40K 5 days a week, or even if I was doing Age of Sigmar 5 days a week, that'd be a little exhausting. It'd just be me playing the same list over and over again, and you guys don't want to see that. The next question I have is by Joe8170. Luka. Dang it, this one's also long. Luka. I would love to see, and I already passed it, I would love to see you and Kenny have a Death Guard versus Thousand Suns battle where you play Legion-side squads and Primarchs. Also, have you heard of the game Exploding Kittens? Now, if that question went any longer than that, Joe, please leave the rest of it there. I made a mistake by passing it. But I would love to do Death Guard versus Thousand Suns. Kenny's been wanting to play Thousand Suns for the longest time. He had a Calth box that he could have made into Thousand Suns, but I think he's going Alpha Legion now. But that'd be fun. I would love to do that. I would love to face Thousand Suns. I love 30K. And with all the changes to the Thousand Suns, I feel they're much more reasonable when it comes to gameplay. Magnus, the Magnus Strength D bomb doesn't exist anymore, but Biomancy Magnus still exists, and like Sekhmet Terminators are still super durable. But at least you can play Armored Company against Thousand Suns now, and you just have to deal with the oppressive Biomancy Magnus. But realistically, Magnus is a very powerful Psyker, so he should be the way he is. Sisters of Silence are a good way. You know what? If you know you're playing against Magnus, just throw Sisters of Silence in there every now and then, and that would help a ton, like a ton. It wouldn't work every game. It wouldn't completely neuter him, but it would help a lot. And as for the second question, have I heard of Exploding Kittens? Yes, I have heard of it. And I assume this is Exploding Kittens because it says Exploding K. I have played a lot of Exploding Kittens. It's kind of like one of those, it's like, you ever heard?
It's by the Oatmeal.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of one of those games where it's just like silly art, goofy art, and it's just like there's a very lax rule set. It's very play a card, pick up a card, play a card, pick up a card. Last man standing wins.
Very much like hang out with your friends, and nobody needs to be an extreme gamer, and just
do what the card says.
An hour or so of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, every now and then I like to play a game like we haven't play tested this at all. That one's fun too. That one's literally like the game's over, like first card played. Oh, it's just like why not? It's just you play so many of these games that are so strict on the rules. It's kind of fun just to play one that doesn't really have a rule set at all. Yeah. Like one of the cards is literally it's just like rock paper scissors, but you don't show your opponents, and then like everyone at the table throws rock paper scissors. And it doesn't matter what you throw. The card says whoever throws scissors automatically loses the game. It's just like random crap like that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, like, and I don't know if your question regarding Exploding Kittens was supposed to be for like the live stream, but if obviously something like that is not necessarily appropriate for. Oh no.
So. Yeah, no, definitely not appropriate for the PG level we want to keep this at. Okay, this one's by Catfish666. The timestamp is 1412. If I need it, okay, I think I got it, but it says it ends at eBay. Do you think Games Workshop should bring back Tomb Kings? And do you think and do you like the Tomb Kings? I love the models, but I'm so wary of starting an army because they are so expensive on eBay.
That is the last, yeah.
Okay, good. Because it's a little comma, so I wasn't sure if I kept going.
Yeah, Tomb Kings armies are expensive these days.
I would not recommend buying anything Tomb King related off of. Okay, unless you want to play them, but I am like 99. You should never be 100% on anything, but like I'm 99.9% sure Games Workshop will not be doing anything further with that Tomb King line.
I don't think so either.
No. Will they take a unique? You know what I would absolutely love to see, and Games Workshop. I'm sure you already have the next like years planned out. But I would love to see the Tomb Kings come back in a new unique IP that you can claim yourself, and make it an order army that's all based around death.
Ooh.
Yes, that would be amazing. Make it an order-based undead army. Like, make it Tomb Kings, but make it not so much Egyptian themed. Make it so it obviously was supposed to, like the Tomb Kings, like Cetra has come back. Cetra was somehow able to reform his body. He survived the old world being destroyed, and now he's back as the ultimate leader of this newly reimagined death army that is focused on everything against Nagash. So it is order by default. I guess it could be destruction too, but I'd like to see it be order. I love the Tomb Kings. I think when I was first looking to get into fantasy before Age of Sigmar, or like when I was first looking to get into Age of Sigmar, I was like, I'm buying Tomb Kings or I'm buying Vampire Counts, and that is that. Without a doubt. That's what I'm buying. I just so happened I found a Vampire Count army before a Tomb King army. And I'm a little thankful because at the time no one knew the Tomb Kings were going to be discontinued, which they were shortly afterwards. But yeah.
Sorry, we got the Rogue Spartan saying something about, he asked a question earlier and then I asked a real question again. I think Luka just skipped me. Is there a way to ask my question again? Yeah, just throw it back in. Is his name in the queue right now?
It's Rogue Spartan?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to put...
The Rogue Spartan?
The Rogue Spartan? I don't see the Rogue Spartan in the list. So if you can, please put your question back in there with !ask, and I'll try and get to it. I'm going to try and get through these a little bit quicker. Jay Bentley, 621. Luka, any chance of seeing you versus Matt in 30K? Salamanders versus Word Bearers? I don't think so, because I've heard Matt say on several occasions that he could never go back and play them, just because he couldn't remember the rules. Would he like to go back and play them? I'm sure. Does he have the time? I doubt it. He'll come in and watch us play 30K. He's like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. He's like, oh, why are you doing that? Oh, yeah, that's the rule, right? Like it all comes back to him, but I don't think he'd play. Your best bet is watching like probably Kenny or my friend Des play Salamanders. I've slowly started getting him into 30K. But I would be very doubtful of Matt ever coming back and playing 30K, unfortunately. But that would be fun. The next question is by Mr. Pancakes for the win. The question is, what do you think needs to be done / what would you like to see in Age of Sigmar 3.0? Oh, if I had to change anything, I would... I know it's... I think monsters need a little something, because currently monsters are only good if you have support for them. Now, there's monsters like the Beastclaw Raiders who don't need support because the Stonehorns have rules such as like half damage from all sources, be it abilities or weapons. But other monsters in general can't go into hordes on their own. They die, they're weak. Like a Hell Pit Abomination charges in... Well, I guess a Hell Pit's a bad example. They're really good against hordes right now. But yeah, any monster against a horde tends to suffer. So I'd like to see... This rule came up to me through a man named Alan from Scotland, and he suggested that monsters are -1 to wound unless the thing wounding them has the hero or monster keyword to represent more toughness from a monster.
Interesting.
Would that make certain monsters really powerful, like the Beastclaw Raiders? Yes. Because currently the only way to really effectively kill Beastclaw Raiders are through hordes. Right. So if they also had that rule, then you'd still kill them pretty easily, because they do... I find when, like, 40 skeletons against, like, Graveguard or skeletons or any other really efficient, like, 25mm base infantry model really goes through them pretty easily. So maybe even the -1 to wound wouldn't put them over the top. Because currently Beastclaw Raiders are pretty... Honestly... not weak. They can play tournaments pretty well. I find that Beastclaw Raiders tend to do really well in tournaments when people aren't expecting them. When the meta has shifted in such a way that the Beastclaw Raiders aren't really accommodated or aren't really accounted for, is when they show up and just kind of walk all over the tournament. And, and then people are like, oh yeah, Beastclaw Raiders.
They seem to be like and in the ways of like metas and things, and yeah, like when it shifts too much into a controlling based fashion.
Right.
Just like in other games like Magic and such. Where
the wild card shows back up again.
Exactly, yeah. Where it almost keeps everyone else in check with it existing.
Yeah. Because,
you know, everyone could go off and try to build up their crazy strategies, and then then nobody thinks of this, and then it's able to come in, clear everybody up, make everybody remember, and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, and that's where in our really the Beastclaw Raiders shine. If no one's expecting them, they're going to walk all over you. But I think that's a good rule for Age of Sigmar 3.0. Anything else, honestly, I think the game is so... I'd like to see them add more things. Like, I want to see them add things that I used to love in fantasy. I want to see riders and mounts have different wound characteristics. I want to see... That way, like, if you kill the mount...
That would be neat.
Yep. Have them have different... have them have the same save or whatever. And when you're shooting at them, you randomly hit whichever one. Mm-hmm. And if you kill the rider, then the mount runs around. And I love to see the monster reaction table back again. That was always fun.
Right. Yep.
And if you kill the mount and then the rider falls down and you play with the rider instead, there doesn't have to be any fall damage. That might be a little too complicated. I'd love to see that. That'd be amazing. That way you still have the degrading profile on the mount, and usually the rider himself never suffers the degrading profile. He's usually all or nothing. So the foundations for that rule to be incorporated are already there. That would have to be like a 3.0 thing, and then re-release battalions with all the new updated things like that. I'm loving that you can unbind at 30 inches. All the other battle tomes are being updated to kind of keep up with the rest of the pace. I am loving the rate Age of Sigmar is growing. I'm loving the direction it's going. So maybe for those, if they don't add those changes for me, I won't be upset. I'd like to see them. Would they make the game better? I could be horribly wrong, but I'd love to see something like that. Next question is by Don Cernet. We'll be playing some video games on the 24-hour stream. I don't think video games would keep me awake. I don't think they're interactive enough to keep me going. I don't know. Especially the games I like to play are a little bit slower paced, like turn-based strategy games or real-time. Well, I guess real-time strategy games are pretty fast-paced.
I mean, I definitely think there's an opportunity for us to do something with video games. I just don't know how to go about it, and we've tried that in the past, and it never did
Never,
super well. So
we didn't give it a whole big shot though.
and that's the thing, right? It's tough because it is kind of branching decently off from what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the other thing is it also comes down to the equipment, where yeah, we've got a bunch of the infrastructure, but I mean, I don't know honestly if our computer could handle playing some of today's games whilst also streaming.
Oh, that computer there?
Yeah, it's quite powerful, but I would be afraid to kind of push it to its limits with certain things like that.
That's fair. For me, honestly, for video games right now, I've actually stopped playing them because I want to get my space goals done. So I usually do this thing. If I'm in a mood to be productive when it comes to the hobby, I'll stop all video games. I'll talk to my friends. I'll still watch Netflix or listen to YouTube, but I'll be painting, and I'm going at a pretty good pace for my space goals. But video games, I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil. I've been playing Dawn of War 1. I always go back to that every now and then. Age of Empires 2, huge fan of that. And all my friends are playing Apex Legends right now. So maybe, I haven't even downloaded that. I haven't had the time to play that with them. But those are the games I'm kind of familiar with now. But video game streaming, it'd have to be a lot of friends. Like, Legion Tower Defense on Warcraft 3, love it. I could play that for like 9 hours straight. But anyways, I'm getting loaded up on questions here. If you want more questions, you have to ask them now, and I'm probably gonna have to close it in about 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna answer the rest of the questions.
Okay, at 2:57, we will be closing.
Yeah. So at 2:57, if you don't have a question in yet, if you can't think of one, I guess there's always next time.
Luka will be back.
I'll be back.
4 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it 4 weeks? Yeah, it's 4 weeks.
I think it's 4 weeks. The next question is by Veritor69. I saw, this is that 1422 timestamp. It's a little long. I saw that the rules team is going to rework The Exorcist due to beta codex feedback. I also seen that. Do you think the 40k rules team will look at other weapons that are similar to The Exorcist? And then it stops there.
I'd like to see the Doomsday arc get some love.
Yes, the Necron Doomsday arc. Okay, so the Necron Doomsday arc got better with the Necron Codex release, but it suffers the exact same thing that The Exorcist does. It's random amount of shots. You still have to see it if you hit and wound, and then you have to pass their saves or fail their saves, and then it's still random amount of damage. That's the kind of stuff I'm not a huge fan of in either game system. So I tend to veer. I never try and tailor my list around that stuff. I like fixed damage numbers. I like fixed amount of shots. Obviously, anything that's predictable in a dice game is better. So I like to avoid those kind of weapons.
The super random.
Super random, over the top. I'd like to see something like, I don't know. Okay, look at Age of Sigmar. You have things like a Plague Claw Catapult, which has one fixed number to hit. You have one single lob. If it hits, it gets bonuses to hit bigger units too. If it hits, and it usually has a pretty easy number to wound on, a pretty high rend, and then just flat, big amounts of damage. But the problem with Age of Sigmar is the fact that damage spills over, so they can do stuff like that.
Yes.
I would love to see something like an Exorcist cannon be able to just roll one single die to hit, and then it's just like D6 amount of hits.
Okay.
Like, something like that. That's I think that's almost how the older editions of 40k worked. Like if you had a blast, you roll to see if you hit, then scattered. I can't remember. There's stuff like that. Honestly, one singular die roll that's pretty easy to hit on, and you get bonuses against big units, and maybe let the damage spill over for guns like that. That'd be pretty devastating. I'd love to see something like that. But yes, I'm curious where they're gonna go with that, because often you when it comes to the heavy weapons on vehicles that have random amount of shots, you see similarities. A battle cannon is anything that was like strength 8 AP3 in the previous edition. It has battle cannon stats. D6 shots at strength 8, -2 D3 damage. You see that on the mortar for the Plague Risk Crawler. You see that on battle cannons. The Orc battle wagons have that, I think, with their battle cannon. It's just random amount of shots, not very reliable. It's not very great. That's why you don't see a lot of them being used. The next question is by Pro Waffles. Do you think the new Blades of Corn book will be good? Yes. I don't care if it's bad. I'm excited. So my favorite thing with Age of Sigmar right now is, as long as the rules are cool, I don't think it's bad. Honestly, I don't think Scryer is good for Age of Sigmar. I don't know. I think it's too unpredictable to be good.
It is in a super weird spot.
Can you take like Clan's Scryer from Skaven to a tournament and win? Probably not, because you're gonna want to, unless it's worth it to not supercharge stuff. And if it's good enough and you just don't have to supercharge it, then that's the case. But then you're not playing Scryer. You're not having fun with it. I think that they're doing an amazing job of making these books really good and fun. And they're all pretty well balanced. Then but it does take a very keen mind to find the strengths in these codexes. Yeah, I myself, I can look at something and actually, that's really good. That seems really strong. I can see the obvious synergies that like 8,000 other people see right away as well. But it takes a keen mind to find a broken element that usually has to be FAQ'd afterwards. But I think it'll be good. I'm hopeful. I wanted to play. I've been wanting to play Blades of Corn recently, but since they started showing off that stuff on Warhammer Community, I can't. I'm like, you know what? Chances, like, what if I record this game and then they announce the release of this and then my game goes out afterwards? Everyone's like, well, why is this not the new Blades of Corn? I'm like, well, okay, well, then I just haven't been able to play them because they started to show off the new Blades of Corn stuff. So I'm very excited for that to come out so I can finally start playing Corn again. The next question is by Ruffles McLeod. How many cats do you have, and what are their names if so? I have 0 cats.
Why does Ruffles McLeod sound like a cat name?
That is a good cat name. Ruffles McLeod is an excellent cat name.
Yeah, Luka lies to everybody and actually has no cats.
I have 0. I used to have a cat, and his name was Skittles.
Classic cat name.
Yeah, like the candy. My mom initially said, let's name it Skittles because it's very skittish. But I didn't hear that. I heard Skittles. I'm like, that's kind of a cute cat name. I like Skittles. So we just called her Skittles for a while. So she ran away.
I think we changed it.
Well, she ran away. She was, I guess, the cat formerly known as Skittles.
Somehow, because it runs away, it loses its name?
I guess. We assumed that it ran, because we lived in the country, we assumed it ran to the weird, like, cat ghetto that was the farm 2 houses down.
I actually understand that.
Right. There was like 200 cats
just
hanging out there.
That one barn.
Right. And it was an active barn, too, with a ton of cats. No rodents, I'm assuming, though. So that's good.
Yeah. With that many cats, you shouldn't have a problem with rodents.
When you stay up for 24 hours, will you pack boxes? Shotgun William Ka.
Oh, it's Shogun William Ka.
Sorry, wow, I read that
Shogun
Shotgun.
Ka, William Ka.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It's Shogun Ka, William Ka. My bad. I thought it was Shotgun for some reason.
You can close.
Oh, it's time. It's time to close. I'm sorry, everyone. I got to close the questions. You got 2 seconds to finish your question. You're done. I'll be finishing up the rest of these and the Vault ones I have. And then I do have a guest I have to get back to as well, so I can't actually stay here for the next 3 hours doing this. I apologize. What does that mean? What does pack boxes mean? Is that like a...
Sorry, what? Pack boxes?
Is that lingo? I'm not familiar. Do you know what that means?
What's the context?
When I stay up for 24 hours, will I pack boxes?
Quoi?
K? Hello?
Sure.
Urban Dictionary.
I'm afraid of what that's going to...
I just... You could... If you look it up, just shake your head or nod, and I'll explain what it is if it's relevant.
I Google search packing boxes.
And then packing boxes showed up. What a surprise.
Right? I can buy a whole bunch of boxes.
The next... I'll just jump to the next question. This is at 1429. I'll remember that. Oh, never mind. So here, you don't have to worry about it. I'm a 40k veteran, but completely new to Age of Sigmar. Considering Khorne Bloodbound or Stormcast. That's a no. That's a hard no. All right, that's a hard no on packing boxes. I probably won't be packing boxes on the live stream.
Oh, I think it's in regards to the move.
Oh, okay. I guess to be fair, anything on Urban Dictionary is probably a hard no.
That's why I was just like, why would you tell me to go there?
Anyways, will I be packing boxes for the move? Not on the live stream, no. Will I be packing boxes in the future? Probably yes. But I like moving. I've helped my friend Des move, I think 6 times.
Why?
I know. I love help because they owe you. And
yeah,
Des.
No, I understand that, but like, why did he move 6 times?
I just him like when we were younger, him with his mom moving like 3 or 4 times. Then he moved out, moved in, moved out, moved back in again, stuff like that. I guess he only moved out once, moved back in, moved back out. But actually, I like moving a lot. And Desmond's actually going to be helping us move because he said he would. I told him you don't have to. He's like, I know, but you've helped me move so much, I can't not say yes. So.
Exactly. Trapped.
And this is a big, ugly move. You know, this is going to be a bad move because like Matt and Dave are definitely hoarders, and like there's a lot of stuff we probably don't need here, but we still have. Actually, I think Dave's probably worse hoarder. Who do you think's worse?
Sorry, what?
Who do you think's worse out of hoarding, Dave or Matt? I think Dave.
Why would it? What kind of question is that?
They're just hoarders. Not like they're like maybe a 1st degree hoarder. No, they're not even that bad. I don't know.
I was gonna say I don't even know. Are there classified degrees?
I think there is. I think there's
I
actually.
would assume there is.
I think there's like technically classified levels of hoarding. and like there's someone's like a second degree hoarder, someone's like a first. I think that's actually how it is. The next question is by Davinos999. Then I'll do a Vault question after this. What are your opinions on the Daughters of Cain? Oh, I'm so sorry. The darkest Stig. I forgot your question. My bad. It's down here. I'm a 40k veteran, but completely new to Age of Sigmar. Considering Khorne Bloodbound or Stormcast, which would you choose? I like both aesthetics. I would choose Khorne Bloodbound for myself, obviously. I love anything that interacts with summoning demons. I think that is so cool. Bloodshed on the battlefield equals more demons on the battlefield for you. You win when your stuff dies. You win when you kill stuff. That is a win-win. You can have, when your units are dying and you're having a good time, that's a good army design.
That's true. And it's one of those armies that the mechanic is designed that you get rewarded for playing the game.
Right.
And I've always been a big fan of things like that,
I think
where you just play the game and you get benefits.
Right. I think the Khorne Bloodbound have a great design philosophy. When they didn't include summoning for free in Age of Sigmar, I thought they made a mistake. Now they fine-tuned it, they balanced it. It's not perfectly balanced, but this is probably the most balanced summoning has been in like the history of summoning for Games Workshop stuff. I think so.
It's always been a very scary spot.
Yes. Like when you're thinking like vampire counts in fantasy, I cast Raise Dead, I make 13 zombies, and then I cast Invocation of the Heck, Invocation of the Heck, Invocation of the Heck. All of a sudden those 13 zombies are now like 42 zombies that I just got for free. And now good luck dealing with 42 zombies.
Especially in a game like fantasy where movement is such a big deal and having things put in front of you like that sucks.
Yes. Or even just Raise Dead was probably one of those like powerful spells. Oh crap, the knights broke through, the skeletons are coming up my flank. Raise Dead right in front of the knights, and at an angle where they'll have to combat reform afterwards. If they have frenzy, they're done. Mm-hmm. Like that was awful. But you can still do stuff like that now. But you have to stay more than 9 inches away, so it's much harder. Khorne Bloodbound, that's my opinion for sure. Our Stormcast is really good. You have to play the Sacrosanct, the new chamber.
Vanguard stuff?
Sorry?
Or is that the Vanguard stuff?
No, that's the new wizards.
Oh, right.
They are so good. If you don't care if your army's strong, you can play whatever in Stormcast. But if you want a strong Stormcast, you go that new chamber with all the wizards. They are Sequitors, Evocators, and the Lord Arcanums, primo stuff. And the ballistas are strong too. At 100 points, they're a steal.
There's a surprisingly big range for the Storm.
Oh, a huge range. Range.
I always forget how many models are actually available for that army.
Yep.
And I mean, it's still a new game and everything, but man, that's a fully fleshed out army. So
I think they dropped the ball a little bit on the Vanguard stuff. Maybe it's not my playstyle. It's that fast, kind of like low armor save. They don't seem to hit that hard though. They don't. They kind of just move around really quickly and take the table, but if they're not hitting hard enough, they're not going to be able to shift opponents off of objectives. So I don't know. I think they dropped the ball on that one. I could be wrong though. Next question is by Davinos999 now. What are your opinions on Daughters of Cain? I think that their rules represent them very well. They have a way to ignore damage through devotion. They are too devoted to die. I like that one. They have a 6-up to ignore damage.
That's cool.
Yeah, 5-up with a command trait nearby. So a 5-up to ignore damage is really good. They move fast, they hit like trucks, and the longer the game goes on, the more powerful they are. It's a win-win-win. Vito actually has a very large Daughters of Cain army formulating. On his desk, he's painting them pretty quickly, too.
Mm-hmm. And they look beautiful.
I think he's doing the same thing that I am, obviously to a much higher degree of painting than me, but he's kind of like focusing really on painting them as opposed to any other recreational things. Mm-hmm. So he's getting them done. I think he's got 4,000 to 5,000 points, and he's already painted probably looks like over 2K. So good stuff, Vito.
Yeah, it's coming, and it's coming quick. It's coming quicker than my rats, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, it's so depressing, Luka.
I got the next Vault question here. I got one more. I got some Vault more. I got 2 more. That's a long one. I'll do the long one a little bit later. This one's by Hopped Man Canuck. Awesome. Question for the next Sit and Talk, which is neat. Will there be future Kill Team videos? Currently, the plan is no. But is it because we don't like Kill Team? That is not it. We're just kind of too busy doing other things that we're more passionate about, I say. Every now and then, we have a very tiny window of time, to do a passion project. And currently, Josh has an open one for Titanicus, and he's asked me to be a part of that, so it makes me even more busy. That's kind of how it works. We have a little opportunity to do something cool, and then we kind of jump on it, and it's just, I guess no one's really jumped on Kill Team yet, as of now.
The one thing that I think gets a little bit forgotten is when we have to do something, we have to everyone's got to learn the rules.
Yeah.
And get their games in, get the guests in.
Yeah.
And then make an intro, figure out how Rob's gonna be editing it,
Yeah.
and all that. So there's a little bit more behind the scenes work as well that I
Yeah.
think people think it's just as easy to, hey, we can just throw it down, point
Right.
the camera at things, and you're good to go.
Could I just like throw down a random kill team video with Kenny one day? Oh, 100%. We both know how to play. We want like good content, right? Like you don't want like a random like unedited, not really refined game where maybe we make a few mistakes in the first game. There's a little bit more behind it, but it's just as right now, no kill team really in the works. I think Matthew's probably the most interested in kill team. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe that's something we'll think about for
Right.
the 24-hour live stream.
Oh, we could 100% do kill team.
Just
Yeah.
things that can work in this room, and
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that Necrons don't have the rules I'd like them to have. They simply have a rule where like if your opponent rolls a 6 for the damage, like after the damage of the out of action thing, they instead stand back up. It kind of reminds me of their old 7th edition Feel No Pain, and I hated that. I like the aesthetic of a model coming back to life later on in the game that your opponent doesn't expect to come back to life.
okay.
And then would that be strong for kill team? Yeah, that'd be strong for kill teams. I understand why they don't have that. And my other friends played the other armies I wanted to play, and like Khorne doesn't really exist. You just play Chaos with the Mark of Khorne, and it just my armies just aren't there for kill team. Is my only qualm with it. Battle reports running expansions using pre-made teams. Discussions on the positive and negative comparisons of specific kill teams. Thank you, and always enjoy our MiniWarGaming world. Thank you. You're welcome. So you're asking more about in-depth kill team coverage in general, like the competitive nature of it, how certain teams work against other teams, and the general consensus of our opinion on kill team. I think a lot of us here like kill team. We enjoy kill team. We just haven't had. It's just not our favorite thing.
Yeah, and I mean we always as well have the time to play a full game.
Yeah.
And kill team is. I don't know if this is the exact thing it kind of fits in, but it always seems like it's been the game of, okay, well, we don't have enough time to play a full game.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can just play a game of this.
Yeah.
Where, that's not really an issue here and all that. So
like realistically, Tuesday mornings, it'd be a perfect time to play a lot of kill team. You can play a couple kill team games every morning. But they'd just be random pickup games. There wouldn't be a campaign behind it. Be like, I'm just gonna play this here. Like I said earlier, my only issue is I feel like the armies I want to play aren't properly represented, because the only thing I look for in a game, a war game or a skirmish game, is that does it have an army I like aesthetically, and if it does, do they have cool rules I like, be them strong or weak? If the answer is no, then I just won't play it.
Mhm.
I don't. I'd like to play something like Khorne bait, like Berserker bait. I'd love to see Berserkers. That'd be kind of cool. I don't think they're in the game. And like I said, I don't like the Necron rules currently. But that's mostly why I'm not too interested in it. The next question is going to be by Andrew Octobeard. This one is short, so it is long enough. Any opinion on / or advice for Age of Sigmar Oryx? Ooh. Only got a weird knob box for now and don't know what to get next. So Oryx. Do you mean if you're still watching, can you just put in the chat there for Colin? Do you mean like Iron Jaws, or do you mean like the actual like old fantasy Oryx? Because I don't know much
using the boys and
some
savage orcs and stuff.
Because I don't know much about them. I know that they're kind of in a state of being discontinued for Games Workshop to kind of come up with their own unique take on orcs in the form of Iron Jaws, like very heavily iron. They're called Oryx. They're all heavily armored. How to play Iron Jaws, though, I could give you some insight on that. Matt's played a few games with them, makes them look pretty good. I've always kind of had a low respect level for them. I've never looked at them as a challenging army. Maybe it be opponents coming in and not doing very well with them, or not really having a hard time.
He does beat Iron Jaws, by the way.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. Any advice for Age of Sigmar Oryx? You can be really gimmicky with the Foot of Gork. That could be really strong. I'm pretty sure, like, if you wanted to play a super elite, like, Maw Crusher list, that'd be good, but then you're having a hard time with objectives. If you just want,
like, something that's very big based on the larger stuff.
Right, because, like, if you're going to do all, like, big things, then you have to spend a turn staying back, grabbing objectives, and honestly, like, I think the list to go, I don't think the Gore Grunters are very good. I could be wrong, though, but I think, honestly, a list with, like, a couple Maw Crushers and, like, Ard Boys, and like as much mobility as you can get your hands on and brutes and all that stuff is a pretty solid list. Like Ard Boys and big units have a good save. They're hard to remove off the table, and you maybe give them shields even, and they have a 6 up to ignore damage. They're awesome at just standing on an objective and not dying. Like you have to think about the game as an objective-based game, what can hold an objective and take objectives really well and keep those objectives? Those are the good, strong units in the game.
Yeah, honestly, I find like I was actually having a discussion with Vito about this today.
Yeah.
Of sometimes it's hard to get our minds out of the old fantasy ways of being like,
just kill.
This is strong, this can kill.
Right.
Let me just bring a bunch of units that kill, and then you get to your game, and then you're like, oh, let's roll up scenario, and you're like,
oh crap.
Oh yeah, I didn't plan for that.
I forgot there's like 18 different scenarios that are
exactly.
Yeah. So you want good, efficient things at taking objectives, holding objectives, and moving around the table quickly. Those are like your perfect units. You got fast, high offense, and high durability, or like fast and one of the other two, right?
Yeah.
Because if you can have those fast offensive units that are on the flank and then go up and take the flanking objectives, and your opponent's too occupied in the middle or something, those are great ways to win the games. Like
giving your opponent opportunities to spread themselves super thin,
right?
And little things like that.
Like Sylvaneth are a good example. Dryad is like one of the perfect units in the game. Are they? If you have enough trees down near all the objectives, your Dryads can teleport from trees to trees. They're all -1 to hit in their trees. They have usually cover, and they are the fact that they're like. Could be a 4-up armor save if they have 12 or more models, up to a 3-up if they have cover, and are -1 to hit. In trees on an objective are nigh impossible to remove, because not only are they great at holding objectives, there's so many little potholes of trees that really block a full facing of a large unit crashing into them, and it's near impossible for the bigger base models to get in there because they can't lay flat down and it can't attack from up above the trees. So that's like one of the perfect units in the game.
We got 500 bit from Malicious again.
Thank you, Malicious.
It says Hammer Thrower.
Hammer Thrower. He was Hammer Thrower was pretty rough to deal with, man. That one, I had a Stormcast Eternal campaign that was doing so poorly that I had to start using Fire Slayer allies. I remember that. That was rough. The next question is by Zergalurgadur. Flipping my question, which armies that you play in those 3 systems do you find people don't want to play when you field them? Okay. So what are my least? I remember the question earlier was what was my least favorite armies to play against in all the systems? I found that in 40k, people do not like playing against my Necrons, so I have not been playing them as much. Not because they're overpowered. I usually play them up a little bit. I tend to win quite a bit with them. I had to accept that I couldn't play the Necrons in their old fashion when they first kind of started coming out, which was like a lot of warriors, scarabs. Like the classic line. Now it's more like Tomb Blades and Destroyers and Mortals is your usual go-to for Necrons. But I find that it's very discouraging. Any army that brings models back, I find if you're playing them well and you're playing safe and you're killing off enough to make them efficient, and you're kind of staying back and safe with them, so they themselves are not being fully killed off, and they start coming back every turn, I find that people get really, really discouraged and they don't want to.
So disappointing.
Right, and they kind of lose. Like we're trying to be entertaining, right? So it's hard to play against an opponent who's kind of bummed out and just kind of sitting down on the chair and just want like we don't get that a lot. That's Kenny. That's me throwing Kenny under the bus. If I'm playing against Kenny and I'm playing an army like that who just keep coming back en masse and he's having no luck, he'll be sitting in a chair not wanting to play the game anymore. Or stuff like that. So that's Necrons for 40k.
Yeah, the ones that almost feel like I'm trying to think of what it is, but it takes away from your accomplishments in game.
Yes, a lot of people, like you said earlier, like they have that old fantasy mentality where the objectives are secondary to killing your opponent, which is the wrong mentality to come in. So when they should be pushing me back and taking objectives as opposed to trying to kill my unit. Like if they can kill my units off, do so. But if they're upset with my units coming back, focus on the objectives.
And
that's how you win.
That's another thing, right? It's to almost get that psychological advantage on them.
Yeah.
Like I know you should be focusing on the objectives, but you left this unit of Tomb Blades with 1 guy left.
Yeah.
And now 5 of them are back.
Yeah.
Makes you super salty, which makes you do not as optimal things because your emotions get involved.
You start to tilt.
Exactly.
You start to tilt.
Which then kind of tips everything more in one favor. So yeah, there's something to play against.
Yeah, so Cullen's a perfect example of not liking to play against Necrons all that much. Josh also hates playing against the Necrons. Josh, I find, is a very competent player, but for whatever reason, he'll go on. He's said more than a few times that he hates playing against Necrons. In fact, it came across one time that this poor guest came by with a very tame Necron list, and Josh had just finished that Apocalypse game with me when I was playing the Necrons, and he was so fed up with Necrons that I think he tabled that guest on the first turn, and he felt so bad about it because he realized that, I just...
Oh yeah, Tesla too is another thing that's just like, ah!
Tesla can be stressful. Tesla can be very stressful.
Yeah, it's when you're just like, you had 10 shots and you have
22 hits.
Sorry, yeah, you have 10 shots and 12 hits. Like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah,
what?
Stuff like that. Tesla can spike super high. Tesla's amazing at killing shield drones. That's why Cohen doesn't like Tesla.
Right. Andrew Octobeard is also saying, my only problem is Iron Jaws have very few options. So boars, boys, brutes, and cabbage boss, and I think that's
literally, you're right. Those are your only options.
But I think that's very Age of Sigmar across the board.
Yes.
That even if you look at daughters, or even if you look at even the Skaven, which have a wide range, are now broken down into clans, and everything is very like the newer armies. There's not a huge range, so it does kind of feel like you're like, I need 120 of these things.
Yeah. To be fair, I think the Iron Jaws are on the lower end of smaller model lines because, even like things like the Daughters of Cain, they've seen new releases. Mm-hmm. The Iron Jaws were pretty much. To be fair, they are mostly all releases except for the old Black Orcs, which are turned into Ardboys now.
Right.
Yeah, but they have only just a few models. Other than heroes, they have a good amount of heroes. Well, they have 4, including the cabbage guy. I could be wrong, but I understand. Your best bet is literally Ardboys. Maybe Gore Grunters are good. I don't know. In my experience, they've been kind of they charge forward, they die. They don't do damage. They're not very durable. It's just not. They just don't seem that great.
I also feel like Iron Jaws is possibly one of those armies that kind of gets you caught in that Age of Sigmar, like, I'm going to run up with everything and charge with everything all in the same turn.
Right.
And then...
that'll get you every time.
And then you realize, like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to charge everything all at once, so I lose half of it in combat before it gets to attack.
Right. And I think Iron Jaws are also suffering from the fact that their battle tome needs a reprint. So we're seeing new reprints in the form of Skaven. There are some of the extreme examples, because when the Skaven and the Flesh Eater battle tomes came out, they didn't even have allegiance abilities. They were just, here's all the war scrolls for your units in a book and some battalions.
Well, yeah, and again, at that time, it wasn't even Skaven. It was straight
Pestilence.
Pestilence only.
Right. And then Scryer got rules in the General's Handbook.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we seen new battle tomes for Bone Splitters. That'd be cool. I'd like to see a Bone Splitter line.
Oh yeah.
All that stuff. Back to the question though. That was my 40K one. Age of Sigmar, it was easily Legions of Nagash. So when that book came out, that came out technically in first edition, but it was printed with the intent of second edition already coming out, and they knew what was happening in second edition. You can tell by the white, the spine. That's what it's called, the spine of the book. The white spine kind of gives away what battle tomes were printed with the intent of the system they were going to be printed for. It came out and they had, I can't remember what the command ability is that brings something back for 1 CP. When that came out, I'm like, well, you probably have to pay the points for that, so that's not great. But, I mean, the army itself, a lot of reanimating through gravesites. I thought it was a really fun, cool army, and it was very balanced. And then second edition came out, and they gave them the ability to bring back a complete summonable unit near a gravesite for 1 command point. Put it way over the top. I played, I think, about 10 to 12 games of it against opponents. I lost maybe 1 or 2 on objectives, because one was the relocation orb, which screwed me over super bad. And there was maybe another one, and it was so mindlessly easy to play them. It was like, then to be fair, I guess I also had a lot of experience. To me, it felt mindlessly easy to play them. I had a lot of experience with proper necromancer placement near units and making sure they can't be sniped by certain things. So maybe a lot of game knowledge there. What things are capable of sniping, where to keep certain models, because you do have to be proper with your placement. But when it came to my opponents fighting them, and the fact that I was bringing back Graveguard back to full life, Black Knight units back to full life, Skeleton Hordes and Zombies back to full fighting strength, and then I could see to my opponents' faces, they were like, I'm going to lose this game right away. And they just lost all interest in playing. So I have not played Legions of Nagash since the Nighthawk Battle Tome came out. And that came out months ago. Probably half a year ago, if not more. No, maybe about half a year ago.
I feel like it was in the summer.
Was it December?
No, it was summer.
It was summer?
I think so. Wasn't it?
I can't remember.
I think, was I? Yeah, I would have been here for that. So this summer.
Yeah, I think that's the last time I played Legions of Nagash. So it's been shortly after the second edition came out. It was just not a fun army to play as. Also, it's fun to play as because it feels like you're commanding a Legion of Death, which is perfect. Games Workshop did an amazing job writing the rules for them, but it's just not fun to play against. And especially when you have that mentality of wanting to just kill your opponent and screw objectives, whatever, I'll kill you first, then grab the objectives later. Because people are very used to that score at the end of the game. It doesn't matter right now. And Legions of Nagash can play they can have quick, people like, oh, they move slowly. No, you can make them move fast. And that they're hard to get off objectives, they can move up the board fast, and it's hard to deal with. And especially with Nagash on the table where he's very oppressive. So I stopped playing that, I haven't played it since. And lastly, for fantasy, I found that, to be fair, I only really played against Cullen and Steve. And I played a little bit against Kenny, not on camera. And Kenny hated fighting the vampire counts because he was very much the type of like, oh, I like to make a big, strong unit and I like to charge into combat. But very few things in the game could stand toe-to-toe with a kitted out Blender Lord.
Oh, yeah.
And he hated the fact that it could kill anything he was fighting. Like, because it was like, you reroll failed ward saves against him, he's strength 8, he's got red fury, he's always strikes first. Like, he had like every tool he needed to be super killy. The best thing to kill a vampire lord was just infantry, like not characters, just swarms of attacks. Because he had a 3-up save, but the one thing he had going for him, you can never use weapons against him if you're in base contact with him. You'd use your base strength because he had the one relic cape that said you can't get strength bonuses from your weapons, and you're always strikes last.
And I mean, the other thing is the fact that you had to put so much of that on him made him how many points?
It was about 450 to 500 points.
It's crazy.
He was a very expensive character, but he could take almost anything. I remember one time Steve charged a dragon into him, and I have always strikes first, so I just killed the dragon before he did anything. It was awful. It was awful. But Kenny hated fighting that. But I loved it so much I didn't care. Fantasy seemed very much like the game. Like, I don't really care. I'm going to bring what I want. Maybe that's the mentality I had back then. What did you hate fighting anything of mine in particular?
I mean, the Dark Elf Witch Pot of Doom was pretty
that was it. That
but
was
I mean
rough.
but that's also probably one of the most powerful things in the game. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, you know.
The Witch Elf Death Star was probably easily the one. It was Witch Elves, Cauldron of Blood. I like to put Hellbraun in there.
I think one time we played it, and like I think you killed almost all of my, like, a 45-man brick of slaves in one combat.
Yeah, they
Like,
would do it.
that's the stuff that would tilt me when it's just like, this is like 45 wounds and you've killed almost all of it. Like,
Yeah.
I know their save is nothing, but like 45.
45 wounds, I know. And so it was, for fantasy, it probably would have been the Witch Elf Death Star. Because people did not, Josh didn't like playing against it. Steve liked to try and challenge it to figure things out. Because I remember he did double Death Star of Vampire Counts, and he had the Crypt Horror Death Star. I charged the Crypt Horror Death Star, killed it in one go.
Ugh.
But then because they have Frenzy, they had to overrun, and he had another Death Star set up to hit them in the flank, which did it.
Mm-hmm.
But they were still, like, it was literally just like points on, there was the circumstances of that video, but that was a good Death Star. People did not like facing that. And that's it for that question. On to the next one, before I get too distracted by fantasy talk. Heavy Glenn, in a battle report, you mentioned that you love the burning of Prospero. How do you feel about the rivalry between Thousand Suns and Space Wolves? Mom, what makes it so sweet? The fact that it was a lie makes it the sweet, like, it's tragedy through and through, right? It's like perfect tragedy. Space Wolves go to kill the Thousand Suns because Horus lied to Leman Russ. Emperor told Horus to tell Leman Russ to go and apprehend Magnus. Leave the Thousand Suns alone. Just bring Magnus to me. He has to pay for his crimes. Horus relays that message in the form of kill the Thousand Suns, kill Magnus, and destroy Prospero. And Leman Russ, being Leman Russ, he's like, well, that's what the War Master says. That's what I'll do. Without a question. And like, there's even parts in the burning of Prospero where Leman Russ is convinced that the one main character is. Well, I guess I shouldn't say spoilers, but there's one point in Burning of Prospero where Leman Russ thinks he is sending a message to Magnus, and he is like talking to him with sympathy, with empathy, and with with feeling, asking him, please, Magnus, just don't do anything drastic. Just give up. Let me capture you. Let me figure this out. Let me try and work this out between us. And please don't make me do this. But the message never got to him, and like the whole thing happened, and like you could see there was sadness in Lehman Rust, and it was a good book. Dan Abnett, love Dan Abnett. VJ Morph, next question. I think glancing this question, Luka, do you think MiniWarGaming would be open to playing sponsored lists? Like people pay for one of you to play a specific list and play style. I am assuming in the form of learning like how we play it, learning some insight into that list, and like if you should buy that list, kind of like play before you buy idea is what I'm getting at here. You as a player want to buy Iron Jaws, but you don't know what's good, and you make up 3 lists, and you don't have the models. No one you know has the models, so you contact us to play it for you. I think because we usually have all the models here, we have a good collection of models.
It's an interesting idea.
I think there's a lot of work behind that, and it's
yeah, it is a lot of moving pieces and getting things to work, and
it's just like and how quickly would you need it done, right? Because sometimes you'll be like, oh, I really want Luka to play this Iron Jaw list for me. I have it laid out for him, and it's just like, well, Luka's not playing Age of Sigmar for a month.
Right, and it opens up the whole thing of...
That contradicts what I said earlier, where I play Age of Sigmar once a week. So it's true, like I do play Age of Sigmar a lot, but...
The other thing is it opens it up to people to submit like troll lists as well, like meme lists.
Yeah, and all
like,
of a sudden...
As much as that has its thing, like that only... Like, you know, it's super...
Yeah, all of a sudden it's just like, I want you to run a list that's nothing but Brimstone horrors. Like all the Brimstone horrors you have, which are awful. And it's just like, okay, I'm going to play this to lose. I guess we could accept lists and like, oh, that looks like a reasonable list. I guess we could accept to play this one. And I think there's a lot of moving pieces there that might not be worth it.
Right, and then if that's the case, then there needs to be some sort of submission and like request for, you know?
Right,
like,
the website guy would have to update, like make something like that on the website. And then that's something like Josh would, or maybe Mike would have to go through.
Screen that, and then it can then finally come over to you guys, and then
yeah, because Mike wouldn't be able to screen it because he doesn't have the knowledge that we would need from him. So I don't know, and unless it was like paying obscene amounts of money, then it probably wouldn't be worth it. Sorry. The next question is by Decent. I assume that the next expansion of Primaris is going to be an expansion of the Aggressors. What name will you give them? Like Vanguard for the Phobos.
What would you name them?
I assume the next expansion of Primaris, it's going with an expansion of the Aggressors. Something the Aggressors do, but in like lighter, different armor, I'm guessing.
So like someone that can throw that many shots, just not be that tough?
Right, like, yeah, Aggressors are in Gravis armor. What name will you give them, like the Vanguard for the Phobos?
I don't know. I can honestly say right now that I'm not the biggest fan of the name Vanguard, just because they just did that for the AOS stuff.
Yeah.
Which is just like, guys, I understand it's a generic term, but like...
Right.
Why would you use the same term twice within like a couple months?
Like the Vanguard are like, yeah, well, it works. I can see that. It's just, I've never been a huge fan of the Vanguard type units either. They're the forward, they're the scouts, they lay low and wait until the main army arrives and stuff like that. I've never been a huge fan of that kind of playstyle in general. But I don't know, like what would the next kind of release of Primaris be now that they've done, this is their first take on something that's not generic, so they just did the Vanguard, right? So maybe they do an entire line of Psychic Primaris, something like the Thousand Suns. That'd be kind of cool.
Something more heavy weapon based?
Yeah, like maybe like all like heavy weapon vehicles and heavy weapon units that aren't just Hellblasters.
Yeah, exactly. Putting more into that kind of... Yeah,
because currently the only heavy weapon Primaris stuff is the Redemptor Dreadnought and the Repulsor. Technically it's a transport, but like maybe a line of heavy weapon vehicles like Predators, Whirlwinds, and stuff like that. I don't know what I'd call it though. Like the Onslaught, the attachment, like Onslaught works for like a heavy weapon thing. For the Psychers, it could be the Librarius. So, I'm not good with names, but that's stuff they've used in the past. But I'd like to see like a heavy weapon. That'd be kind of cool. Like new cool Primaris heavy tanks that are fly, so they're not crappy like the rest of the This is the easiest. Make them all fly. That just makes them good.
Put them on whatever the same thing that the repulsors are on. Those little grab.
The weird grab thing. This one's by Joe8170 again. Luka. The rest of my question was, would you do Legion-side squads with Death Guard versus Thousand Suns and 40k from a fellow Luka? Yes. So you're talking like 20-man bricks of Plague Marines versus 20-man bricks of Rubric Marines. 100% every time, yes. I love Legion-sized units of Marines. It's dumb. People don't really do it that much anymore, even in the Heresy. But I love 20-man units of Marines with bolt guns. I don't know why. It's so bad, but I love it. And the next one is by Nicodemus1360. Please do Death Guard versus 1,000, the Thousand Suns. Like it's typed 1,000 Suns, but I know it's throwing me off. Sorry. In 40k, two of my favorites. Get Dave in on that. Have I done Death Guard versus Thousand Suns yet? That's a good matchup. Zinch versus Nurgle. You know what drives me nuts? I'll be honest. It's a lot of people running competitive lists, and my friend Desmond's doing this now, and I'm throwing him under the bus. I can't stand people that do like a Supreme Command detachment of Death Guard or a Supreme Command detachment of Thousand Suns with Mortarion or Magnus in it and Demon Princes, and then just the main battalion or whatever of the other army. I can't stand Nurgle and Zinch working together. They have the worst part is they have so much synergy in actual game mechanics that you're a fool not to run them together. It's just such a narrative loss. Ugh. I know it's just like Mortarion hates Magnus. Like they would never work together. It just I'm sure under the extreme circumstances, like come the apocalypse, sure they can begrudgingly work together. But I hate that there's so many lists that run them together. Desmond, the Rogue Spartan. I got your question in now. Sorry, it wasn't appearing earlier. This one's at 1450, so we may have to go back a little bit. Yeah, I'm new to 40k. I'm actually might not go back that far. I am new to 40k, so I don't have any models or codexes, and I want to get a box set so that I can play with friends without them needing to bring their own army. So I want to get the
Dark Imperium box because I would get the rule book early, but I also want to get the Shadow Spear box because I really absolutely love the models in it. So which should I get?
So the rule book. Okay, the rule book is important for a new player 40k. I'm sure anytime you play with someone, though, they're probably going to have a rule book on them, or at least have it on their phone as a PDF. They're going to have some access to the rule book, or people are knowledgeable enough about the game now that the rule book isn't as important. Unless you're the type of person that absolutely needs the rule book to read over before you play a game. Obviously, Dark Imperium is a good buy if you want the rule book. Absolutely good, but Shadow Spear looks so cool. I would get that. I would get that personally, and then hope that someone has a rule book, or you could buy it online.
Now, those ones do come with like mini codexes that have all of the model rules, right?
Yes. They might even come, I think it might even come with a little fold-out that has the core rules on it.
Okay.
Don't take my word for it, but most boxes have that. It's like a little fold-out that's 6 pages of rules, and I think that might come in Shadow Spear, right? I think it's Shadow Spear.
That's the name of the new one, yeah.
Yeah, that comes out in Shadow Spear. So I would suggest going with Shadow Spear. Just because the Dark Imperium stuff is a little dated and it's not the strongest, and well, I mean, Shadow Spear is not that strong either, right? It's just cool new Chaos Marines.
And I mean, yeah,
you get like 2 Shadow Spear boxes.
It down to like, do you want Death Guard or do you want
100%?
Right? Like, what models do you want to own personally?
Right. Are you looking just for Primera stuff? Then you want. If you're looking for good Primera stuff, then you get Dark Imperium because that's got Hellblasters, it's got Intercessors. I think it's got a Redemptor.
Well, apparently it has the quick play rules in it.
Yeah. So if you want the good Primera stuff, I don't know how good the Vanguard stuff is. It might be good, but it depends. You want Death Guard, you go Dark Imperium. If you want good Primera stuff, go Dark Imperium. If you want the Vanguard stuff, you go Shadow Spear. If you want Black Legion or any kind of chapter of Chaos, you go Shadow Spear for sure. The next one is by Off Tanker 1. Luka, are you planning or know of any other campaigns like Yogvir and Tor or Deathwatch you might get asked to play in, or is there any you want to start? So I know that Matthew has plans of, I don't know if I should spoil it. No, I'll spoil it anyways. He's got plans. He's got plans to do Watchers in Death Season 2, I believe. He hasn't asked anyone to play it yet. Would I play in that? Probably. I know Steve did it last time, and him and Steve had a lot of fun, so I wouldn't be surprised if Steve does it again. Currently, I'm pretty busy doing the campaign with Josh. That's going to be all next week. I don't know. I think he's got the campaign written up and it's good to go. So I think that's what he was waiting for. So we'll see.
I mean,
we'll see.
I guess the real question is if Matthew was to ask you to be in a campaign, is there anything that you would say no to?
You know what? If I had to be in a campaign, I'd rather be in either a really unique, I don't know. I'm all about Age of Sigmar right now. So, because I've just always been a fantasy guy. I've always been a high, low, dark fantasy kind of guy.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, so I would definitely probably go with any Age of Sigmar related campaign because I'm loving Age of Sigmar. So probably a hard yes to any Age of Sigmar ones. If I was asked to be in a 40K one, it depends on what it was and it depends on how busy I was. Like, see, I guess the answer is I'd make time for the Age of Sigmar one, or I'd try to make time for the Age of Sigmar one. Whereas the 40K one, I'm sure maybe Steve might have more fun with that.
Yeah,
there might be a better. Might be someone else.
You wouldn't feel left out if someone else had to step in.
And as always, I only say that because if I had to choose to GM one of them, it'd be whatever's more convenient because I always have more fun as a GM than as a player. Forever and always. I've always been more of a GM than a player. Okay. That's why I say that. Age of Sigmar, I like it so much that I'd be willing to make the time to play it, though.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Next question is by Malicious91 again. Do you think that the Stormcast look like Eve from Orwell's Metropolis? I am not familiar with that.
1 sec, I got you.
Did you already look it up?
I know what Metropolis is, but it's actually by Lang, not... We had a small discussion of it in chat.
Looks like Eve from Orwell's Metropolis, I see. So it's not Orwell, it's Lang.
It's Lang.
Okay. Well, you know what? He's going to pull up a photo.
It is that.
Make big.
Yeah, working on it. So I don't know if you know anything about Metropolis, but it's a super old... It's like one of the early sci-fi movies from 1927.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just did the math in my head, and that is...
It is...
Almost 100.
Old.
It's like 90.
Come on.
3 years old.
Google, do your job. Essentially that.
They have like a gold mask and...
Yeah, it's full gold.
Oh, like, is it like...
So that's the... But...
Gold. Is it like full body paint gold kind of thing?
Yeah.
Well, the Stormcast are...
I mean, why?
Is that supposed to be Eve?
So you kind of see, but imagine this person gold.
Okay. I guess you know what? Yeah, I can see that. Like, a lot of the newer Liberators, not Liberators, but a lot of the newer Stormcasts have like a more finer fit armor, as opposed to like the original Liberators are just kind of like that standard like bulk, huge plate. So I could see that more for like the Sequidors and stuff like that. I could see some similarities there. But if I was to look at that and what I think immediately Stormcast, probably not. I could see the similarities. Okay. Sell the movement trays that are just, you pop your guys in there, you can make them, they could 100% do that easily. Would they? I don't know, maybe in the future. I would love to see them go full circle though. Age of Sigmar is on like 4th edition. Here's an expansion for larger scale rank and file combat. I'd probably be more akin to the skirmish, but I don't know, would I like it? I have no idea, actually.
Wait, did we just drop potentially?
Hello? It says stream live still.
Nope, it's not.
I'm not live. Hello?
It appears that we've dropped. What? You are back now. Are we back now?
Hello?
What happened?
Hello?
I don't know.
Am I live?
Yeah, they're saying you dropped for maybe 5 seconds.
Oh.
Oh.
Weird.
Weird.
Well, I guess
Sorry about that, guys. I'm not quite sure what
I'm back.
happened. Yeah.
While Cullen's figuring that out, I will finish this question. Do you think Games Workshop could release an expansion for Age of Sigmar that turns into a rank and flank style game? Yes. I'll just kind of repeat what I said earlier. I had an email from someone who made a homebrew, or had a friend who made a homebrew rank and file style game, and it seemed really interesting. And all you have to do is just get like MDF cutouts or plastic cutouts where you can just put your round bases in there, and then you have your little bricks of guys. It could be very basic and simple where you charge ranks and you count the wounds, something like Kings of War. The stream, like Kings of War is pretty much the streamlined version of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. But if I was to have a rank and file game, I think I'd like a really... the thing I liked so much about Fantasy was the grindy aspect of it. So with this, maybe. I mean, That'd surprise me. I could love it too. I do like rank and file as a rule. I love winning in the movement phase. I love the idea of flanking and outmaneuvering your opponent, and like maybe I overcharged by this much. Now my whole plan has changed. Stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. I got 2 more questions, which I'm gonna try and knock out because I am way over time here, and my poor guest is waiting. This one is kind of long, but I think it's a lot of narrative stuff because this one is by Zergalurgaderg. So thank you, Zergalurgaderg. I have not forgotten to answer your question. We have good. This is like an anchor, like a news thing. Like, good morning, Tara. We are coming to you today live from MiniWarGaming Studios in chilly, snowy Welland, Ontario. And today we are joined by the charismatic enigma himself, Mr. Luka Katmandu Dicevich. Thank you. That was
Dicevich, I like that.
Oh man, you know what? That's a good opening for any battle report. Well, I guess the live part means I'm streaming, but this segment of Good Morning Terror is brought to you by the good people at Forge Father Hot Sauce. Corpse starch not fulfilling? Need a boost to your Grox burgers? Splash a little Forge Father Hot Sauce on there and you'll be transported to the fiery landscape of Nocturne in a heartbeat. Your taste buds will feel the purifying flame of the Emperor in every bite and cleanse any chaos right out of you. Forge Father Hot Sauce. It burns you so you don't have to. Nice. I think he just likes to make me say silly things. Oh, here's the question. So, Mr. The Dice, our viewers have many questions for you, so we'll jump right in. With the imminent victory of the Vigilus campaign on the horizon, what are your opinions on the newest Astartes of Team Shadowspear that we have seen so far? Right. I like your style of questions, Zergalurgaderg. You had time. Someone had time. Back to the Vanguard. What do I think about the Vanguard? Again, never been a huge fan of any Vanguard type unit, be it Scouts, Eldar Rangers. I kind of liked the Dark Elf, Dark guys who scouted. I can't remember their names. Remember?
They weren't Dark Furies, no.
No, I can't remember their name. They were kind of cool, but every now and then, you know what? I don't mind including a unit of them in my army, but an entire thing based on 4 deployed, objective grabbing early on kind of guys who aren't normally very durable. These guys they're as durable as any other Primaris. 3-up save, 2 wounds, toughness 4. So, but their Phobos armor kind of gives them that camel cloak, and they also have camel cloaks. Not a huge fan of that aspect of game type. I know there's a lot of people out there that love the Vanguard type play, though that very elusive, hard to hit, hard to see, moves around corners, very cloak and dagger like kind of play style. What about those bestial, foul, repugnant, abominable, vile, awful, grotesque, disgusting, horrendous, abhorrent, terrible, gruesome, dreadful, revolting, repellent, monstrous, horrible, no good, very bad followers of chaos? Oh, I am loving them. They are so cool. Are you kidding me? Look how cool the Greater Possessed looked. Look how cool those new Tactical Marines look, or Chaos Marines. Look how cool the Obliterators look. There's big, dumb, muscly, bully guys who shoot lots of guns a lot. Loving it. Sorry, I got to sneeze. It's got it.
Bless you.
I've always been a huge fan of Chaos. So by default, I'm loving it. Not to mention the new Abaddon. Huge, beautiful looking model. Gonna see him in a lot of games in the future. I expect a lot of Abaddon models. And not to mention, he's like 20 years waiting in the reprint. I think it's even more than 20 years. I can't remember off the top of my head. If I could create a new Primaris Marine to go forth and destroy evil, what would it be? I think I like the idea of the Onslaught detachment of Primaris, the new heavy weapon guys. The new Chaos Space Marines, they have those cool rotary cannons, the Gatling guns.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to see a different take, an Imperium take on a heavy weapons team that just aren't las cannons, missile launchers, multi-meltas. I want cool new Primaris guns. Like, they got their Hellblasters. Those are cool, man. Like, better plasma. Give me better missiles. Give me something really cool. Give me something like that. I'd love to see a heavy weapon.
Missiles on missiles.
Right. Give me a missile that explodes into 82 missiles.
Boom.
Boom.
Oh.
Boom. Give me something cool like that.
Oh, and I'm just trying to think of a gun that you hit a unit and then it hits them and then it hits other units near it.
Like a virus bomb kind of thing? Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Weapons of the Dark Age. Breaking news! We're sorry to interrupt this broadcast, but we have new news from the front we'd like your take on. It seems that the arch loser of chaos, the arch loser of chaos himself, Ezekiel Abaddon, is now approaching the Vigilus system. In your opinion, Mr. The Dice, what do you think of this newest incarnation of the so-called War Master, even though it seems he hasn't actually ever won anything? Hey, he wins things. Leave him alone! People make fun of Abaddon, but these are 14 Great Crusades plans in the making. These are all little parts to a grand puzzle scheme. Abaddon, super cool. Leave him alone. He's the War Master. And he's got the talent of horse. He's got Dracnian. He's amazing. You leave him alone.
Stop picking on him.
Stop picking on him. What do I think of Abaddon? I think his model looks amazing. I think everyone is in agreement there. Is he going to get new rules? You know what? I think his rules right now are pretty good, pretty solid. I would like to see a points reduction in him. Maybe not actually. He's like 220 points. Put him at 200 points. Make Luka happy. There you go.
Oh no. VJ Morph is starting the conversation chat. The Abaddon.
Abaddon. Oh.
Conversation.
Abaddon. Abaddon Black. Abaddon. I'm pretty sure it's Abaddon. I'm pretty sure it's Abaddon. But I've definitely heard people call him Abaddon. It's just different pronunciation.
I was gonna say I think that's a pronunciation and accent based thing as well.
Right. I think it's not. It's just different. They're both correct is the answer. Neither are wrong. So it's hard to. It's just accents and different ways of saying it. We want to thank you very much today for your time, Luka. It has been illuminating as always. This has been Good Morning Terra. Back to you, Cullen.
Oh no, I don't know what to say.
And I got one final question by Catfish666. Have you thought about making your own YouTube channel? Special guest spot on Steve's channel. I've been on Steve's channel a number of times, and for my own channel, the problem is getting in guests and kind of staying like really late after work with said guests, and it's a long drive home too. So it's a lot. Usually at the end of the day, I'm pretty eager to get back home, make some dinner, hang out, relax. And getting guests in isn't usually a problem. It's essentially asking a guest, hey, what are you doing after? Do you want to play something?
Yeah, I don't think you have an issue.
No.
The one thing I find interesting is that Steve almost has like an advantage on over some of the other content producers here for doing things like that.
Yeah.
Is when Steve started, he was the editor.
Yes.
So I mean, have you ever edited anything?
That was my next point. I've never actually edited anything. I'm sure I could learn. But honestly, without lying, it comes down to like the lazy factor.
Mm-hmm.
If I could like pay someone to edit videos, maybe. But it's maybe in the future someday. Like I said earlier on, like I want to do the retro stuff, right? So if I had my own channel for retro stuff, if that was reasonable to do, it's just like a hobby, like just to get more retro games in. Ideally, I think with the bunker, everyone has kind of some plans to make a channel following their own passion projects. Because there's going to be people there, ideally, pretty much all the time. From what it sounds like, there's going to be people there hanging out, gaming all the time. Be it I could play my Heresy there. I could play my 2nd edition 40K. I could play 7th edition 40K. I could play Fantasy. Get it all in there. So we'll see. Maybe come the bunker. Maybe. I would totally cheap out on the name too. I call it gaming with the dice or gaming with Luka. Just rip Steve off 100%.
Luka the dice miniatures gaming.
Yeah, make it something. Oh, I shouldn't make it ridiculous. Analytics would say don't make it something ridiculous, I guess. But that's it. That's the last question, guys. I want to remind you that Matthew is next week, so leave your questions for him in the video on MiniWarGaming.com in the comments there. Not on YouTube because they're going to be disabled. So if you're like, oh, I can't leave a question for Matt, go to MiniWarGaming.com. Leave them under this video on MiniWarGaming.com if you're not watching this live. And if you are watching it live and you plan on watching it live next week for Matt, well, then just do what you just did now and just do it next week.
Just run it back.
Just do it again. And again, thank you to all the subs and to all the people who donated bits. Obviously, without you, we can't make this live streaming thing happen. And the more support we get, the more we can live stream, the more we can kind of branch MiniWarGaming out into this new front of the live streaming and where we can cover more traditional games, the games that you at home love. And with that, I guess I'll wish you all happy wargaming, and I'll see you in, 4 weeks?
Yep, and also stay tuned for more information about the 24-hour live stream coming up in a week or 2 weeks.
Yes, because those aren't written in stone. I think the idea is we're just going to be playing whatever you guys want or whatever we really feel like playing at the time.
And I feel like with Matthew Sit and Talk next week, we will have a lot of the questions about the 24-hour live stream ironed out for then, hopefully.
Yes.
And we should be able to get a lot more information about that if you are interested in such a thing.
And, of course, if you have any questions about the lifetime Vault membership, Matthew's the guy to ask over me, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He would definitely know much more about that than I would. Happy wargaming!